Yeah. Yes. That's one of the things. Anybody else want to make a specific comment? Question or comment? Okay, yeah. No, but that's
we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Do a roll call.
Director Leach,
Present.
Director Morad,
Present.
Director Brown,
Present.
Director Jeffrey,
Present.
Director Stanisek.
Present.
Thank you.
Go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Morad,
Aye.
Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
Aye.
Director Stanisek.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to public comments. At this point of the meeting, if anybody in the public would like to address anything to the board, go ahead and take it now. I'll start with the two cards that I have, and then if we have anybody on Zoom or anywhere else, we can go to that. First one I have is for Jeff. Sir, if you want to stand up. Sure. You can try to limit it to 5 minutes.
Oh, I can do
That'd be
that.
good.
I was just telling them on the son of an Irish bar owner, so I'll try and keep it under 15. Good evening, by the way. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I want to speak tonight on your one of your agenda items, that is the LAPCO vote. And I have not looked at the agenda, so I was told it will be on the agenda tonight. And I wanted to speak on behalf of Ross Pike, the local candidate from here in Fallbrook. That is one of the, there's 2 or 3 candidates running. I served with Ross on the North County Fire Protection District Board, and Ross was appointed in the summer for last summer for a vacancy, and then since elected after that in November. So within that time, I've just really been impressed with Ross's abilities, his preparedness. He's always comes to the meetings prepared. In fact, I would say probably maybe one of the most prepared. I would say the most prepared of all of us. I think probably just 2 months into his tenure, he contributed quite a bit. In fact, we had contract negotiations just 2 months after joining the board, and his comments and thoughts actually made their way into our contract negotiations and our final contract with labor. So I was very impressed with that. Also, Ross serves on Mission Resource Conservation District Board, one of our other local boards here. He was appointed to that, I believe, by Jim Desmond's office, Vice Desmond's office. So serves on 2 boards. He's a busy guy in that respect. But he also, one other thing that Ross has done that's really impressed me, and this goes back to early last year, 2022 or late 2021, when there was the redistricting for the county supervisor map. And some of you are probably familiar with that. It was Jennifer certainly worked a lot of hours on that, I know, along with Ross and a couple other of our community people. And what really impressed me with that, and that's really when I got to see kind of Ross in action. And along with Jennifer, I think you've attended every single meeting, and they had several meetings, and one of them went until midnight. Mm-hmm. I tuned into that meeting at 5 and was out. I tuned out by 7, so I'm in bed by 9. So, but anyway, that process resulted in Fallbrook being in our preferred map is a very bipartisan, had very much bipartisan support. So basically it's essentially a North County map. And what they wanted to put us in was a map, almost exclusively east of the 15, and we go all the way down to the border. So we argued, I know a lot of other people argued that we have more in common with Oceanside and Vista than we do with Alpine and Humboldt. And so, you know, our residents go to doctors in Oceanside, you know, Tri-City Hospital covers their Oceanside Vista. We just have a lot in common. I think through Jennifer and Ross's work, they had hundreds and hundreds of public comments. So much so that people started asking, where is this Fallbrook at? Because they designated the number of comments by a circle on the map. And Fallbrook's circle was this big and Escondido's was about the same size. And that's a city of 5 times. So was really impressive. We're doing something else recently you may have heard of. Valley Center Fire is trying to increase the amount that they get, percentage they get of the county tax dollars that are generated within their district. They go to the county and they only get 2% back. I think we get 14 in the county. They're trying to bump that to 6. They only get $1.8 million for a district that covers 25,000. So you can imagine that's tough, that's difficult. So the reason why Ross got involved in that, and I hadn't even heard of it until he actually mentioned it, was it indirectly affects us because we're all, our North County fighters all dispatched through what is called the North Zone Joint Powers Authority. That's located in Rancho Santa Fe. That handles the fire and emergency dispatch for the entire North County. So if everybody in North County except for Escondido and Deer Springs, and Escondido is going to join that soon. So Valley Center is a part of that. So what affects them affects us. Because if they are not able to, if they're not viable any longer and they join the San Diego County Fire Authority, serviced by CAL FIRE, they're no longer within that dispatch. That indirectly could affect us. And there's a couple of contiguous places where our district backs up to there. So, you know, just one of the points, but I guess my point is that I hadn't heard of that until Ross brought to my attention. So it's something that I know he's working. He's trying to get other boards to promote a resolution to support that. So at the end of the day, everything I've seen Ross do and work on has really been to improve Fallbrook in our community. So he's the local candidate and he has Fallbrook's interest at heart. And I think I ran for this position, actually the alternate to this seat. It's a special district seat within the LAFCO Commission. And I ran for the alternate to that seat 2 years ago. And I lost by a couple of votes, but I saw how much work, not just the work on the commission takes, just running for that seat. It's highly competitive. So, you know, hats off to Ross for doing that. And I'm advocating here for him here because not just supporting him, but advocating for him because I feel very strongly that he made a great LAFCO win. So that's all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bill, you know, I've attended these meetings 100 years and I still can't figure out, do you talk about an agenda item when it comes up? Or do you talk about it at the beginning of the meeting?
You can do either. If you'd like to speak about an agenda item at the beginning of the meeting, that would be fine. If it's for a specific agenda item, you could wait until that point in the agenda and I'll give an opportunity at that time as well.
Thank you.
So either way. Let's see. Just 1 second. I got another card and then I'll take you. I have, is it Allison? Ma'am, go ahead. You don't want. I'll call you there.
Hi, everybody. My name is Allison. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Rain Therapeutic Horsemanship Program. I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about our upcoming event. We are hosting our annual Fun Day Horse Show coming up on April 1st and 2nd this year. Our big outreach event, it is our big outreach event for the year. It is where over 100 of our students compete, and we use kind of air quotes here. It really is meant to be fun, but get to show off all of the amazing things they've been learning throughout the year. It's also one of our big volunteer events of the year. We have over 100 volunteers on property helping us facilitate that horse show. So that is April 1st and 2nd this year. I also wanted to say thank you personally to the district. I am about a year into this role as volunteer coordinator, and the last 6 months I have been very much entrenched on the Fallbrook Regional Health District website, making connections to the other amazing nonprofits in the area. It's funny, we're actually here at the Foundation for Community Care tonight, who I have a meeting with tomorrow. We're coming onto the ranch to come see what we do because we're hoping to kind of connect our organizations broaden the volunteer base for Rains and in the general community. Fallbrook is such a weird little town in that I think we have more nonprofits per capita than any town in the surrounding area. It's kind of a special little ecosystem, but the Fallbrook Regional Health District does a really good job of connecting those organizations and seeing who kind of in Fallbrook has similar missions, heart and needs. So the kind of overstanding idea of mental and physical wellness that the Fallbrook Regional Health District provides and thinks about has been very useful to us personally. So I have flyers and things for our horse show that I will hand out at the end of the meeting if anyone wants any, just to avoid feeling like a high school math teacher handing out exams. But I will give those out at the end, and we hope to see some of you there. It's a really special afternoon, and we usually don't leave without a couple tears. Thank you.
You can
very
also
much.
leave the flyers on the back there if you need to leave before we finish this evening.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
everybody.
Sir?
Yeah, I'm Joe Byer, live in Bonsall, 5423 West Lilac Road in Bonsall, California. Nice to visit the friendly village. I've got 4 bullets, real quick. Number 1, the board, keep up the super work. I'm sure that Roy Musa here is very proud of you and all, and again, keep up the great work. Number 2 bullet, the newsletter that you put out with the events is just outstanding. The emails go out. Again, I point to Roy with his Mission Theater comes out on that. Just very well done. Number 3 bullet of 4 is keep the focus on the center. I ended up giving blood there last month, and everything was just fantastic, and it draws people in there. Oh, I didn't really know that this was here. So keep the center on the focus, or keep the focus on the center. And then 4th and lastly, just for your information, the Bonsall Sponsor Group, which is has a similar, a very good board here, met, and the county came up and indicated that the $25 million just for the structures and the ball fields and all, the $25 million, it looks like now with the materials and inflation, labor costs, that they're going to have to go out for a new bid. So this keeps getting kicked. So don't let that problem really be a concern here, because that's just what's happening. There's never 25 million. Well, we really need 30 million. Well, just to do the best you can, because the labor costs are going up, inflation's going up, and go Fallbrook Regional Health District.
Do I have any other comments here in person, sir? Yeah.
Tim Willard, representing the Fallbrook Food Pantry. I'm here to thank the Regional Health District for your support. We really appreciate it.
Very good.
Did we have somebody else over here? Ma'am?
I'm Barbara Creech. I'm from the Foundation for Senior Care, and I want to thank the board and the Regional Health District for all the support that you give to us.
Well, all these compliments. Wow, that's great.
Do we have anybody else in person? No, anybody online or Zoom want to make a comment?
We don't see any other hands raised, and we had nothing submitted via email.
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, if you guys have any public comments on any specific agenda items later, we'll open it to public comment. You're welcome to make a comment at that point. I'll go ahead and close public comments now, and we'll move to a presentation with Allison Barkley.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate your time and appreciate seeing all of you in person. It's really great to be here. So do you want me just to indicate, please, next slide? Okay, great. So my name is Allison Barkley. I'm the CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of North County, and I have been here for about 10 years. I've been with Boys and Girls Clubs for 30 years. As a small child, I started working and much younger. No, just kidding. But I have spent most of my career with Boys and Girls Clubs. It's my passion. I feel like it's really my life's mission and I love being in Fallbrook. The past 10 years have been amazing. And I brought two of our executive team, we call ourselves, Lisa Ware, she's our Director of Operations. And Maureen Sullivan, she's our newest member. She is our Director of Development. And she just came to us in August, September. I wish she was here in August, but it was September. So I'm just here to tell you a little bit about our organization and a little bit about how your wonderful funds are being spent to benefit the children in our community. So I thought I'd start at the very beginning, way back in 1860. So Boys and Girls Clubs of America was founded in 1860 in Hartford, Connecticut. A group of concerned women saw all these boys running around the streets and wanted to get them engaged in something positive. So they started a boys club. And in 1906, 53 groups formed a federated group. And in 1931, they became Boys Clubs of America. And all the way in 1990 is how long it took to add girls to the name. However, many and most clubs were serving girls by that point. But in 1990, they officially became Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It is a federated model. And so what that means is it's not like a franchise, like where you see a McDonald's and every McDonald's is the same. So a federated model means that we belong to Boys and Girls Clubs of America, but they don't provide us with funding or anything like that. The benefit we get, we pay dues, and we basically get technical assistance, we get program development, we get staff training, and then we have to do certain things to be called the Boys and Girls Club. So a lot of people think that our funding comes from this national organization, but sadly, not the case. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So here in Fallbrook, back in 1962, similarly to the national organization, a group of citizens here in Fallbrook decided to form a boys club. And we started in the same location that we are now, which you can see it right across there, especially from the second floor window. It's the old high school, and our building was the gymnasium, locker room, cafeteria, and it's on Ivy Street. And across the street from us is the rest of what was the high school, which is now the elementary school district office. So that began in 1962. So we're at 60 years. We just finished our 60-year. Oh, we're wrapping it up kind of this year celebration. So in 1979, we did change to Boys and Girls Club of Fallbrook, which you will notice is well ahead of the national organization. So go Fallbrook. And in 1998, they did change the name to North County because we were serving in other areas, Bonsall, Rainbow, around the area. So we snatched up the name North County, which other clubs in the area now wish they had that name, but it's ours. And then just a little bit of information about how we've expanded over the years. So we have had a pretty good continuation and a history of expanding. And then the next couple of slides are just for fun. In our 60th anniversary, kind of some then and now. So our club in 1994 and our club in 2021. Go to the next one. Our kids had a lot of fun reenacting these old photos. So this is 1979 and 2022. 1977, same gym right there playing basketball in 2020.
The shorts got longer.
I know, right? Well, now they're like the next one. So today at our club, this is where we stand today. So I've been here 10 years, and in the last 10 years, we've really grown a considerable amount. We have just about doubled in size, and that includes number of kids, number of sites, and our budget has more than doubled. So now we have 10 sites. We are in all of Fallbrook Union Elementary School District schools, including the 2 on the base. One affordable housing complex, which is Turnigan Apartments over near the Shell Station on South Mission. I would say the name of the Mission. And then our main clubhouse, the Ingle Clubhouse. We call it our fleet of vehicles. It is only 3, but we're really proud of them because we own a giant, beautiful school bus, which I love. And we have 2 full-size vans. So we do provide transportation for kids, which I think is very critical. I think we all know in this town, transportation is a premium. We serve over 2,000 kids. We are back to pre-pandemic levels as of, we just filed our annual report with the national organization on Valentine's Day, and we are over 2,000 members, which is where we were pre-pandemic. So we're very excited about that. But we have approximately 80 full and part-time trained and background check staff, which that is a new record. We were very surprised as our payroll grew and grew and grew. But in order to serve all those kids, we've had to hire more people. We have partnerships with well over 10, I didn't make a full list on this slide, but many community organizations. And especially in the last year, we've really had a lot of organizations want to work with us more than ever before. I think the pandemic really kind of spurred on that feeling that people felt like we need to get together more and help each other more. And we've really seen the fruits of that. We have a nationally recognized board of directors. They've received awards from Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and they're all made up of local volunteers. You guys probably all know one or two on our board. And then our annual operating budget this year is over 2.6 million. It was about $1 million 10 years ago. So we've really been able to grow our organization in the last 10 years, which you know, I'm really proud of our board and our staff for the hard work that they do to get us to where we are today, because we have an exceptional team. And most of our staff have been here for double-digit number of years. We had one of our staff just hit 25 years. I don't know if you saw the article in the paper with his adorable smiling face. But we have many, many staff who have been here much longer than I have. So I think it's just a testament to the heart that our staff do have for the kids and the mission and their dedication through the pandemic, through all the ups and downs, that they've stuck with it because they believe in the mission. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So a little bit about what we do here. So this is called the Formula for Impact. So this is kind of something put together by Boys and Girls Clubs of America, but I really like it because in a quick nutshell, it shows what our goals are as an organization, as a movement. So they make it into a little equation. So it's young people who need us most, which is really, who is that? All young people. All young people can use an extra caring adult in their lives. You pair that with an outcome-driven club experience, which means that everything we do at the Boys and Girls Club is intentional. So the kids, it's a little trick. They think it's fun, but there's actually a purpose. So we do high yield activities, which are activities that yield an outcome, usually some sort of learning. Targeted programs, so special programs targeted towards kids with individual needs. Regular attendance, it's been proven in lots of studies that the more kids come, the more impact we have on them. So we really encourage that regular attendance. And then our 5 key elements for positive youth development, which are great. Know those, and so should I. So I know the old ones. This is me too. I know. We start looking at each other like, oh, we know the old ones, which was belonging, usefulness, influence, and competence. And they're kind of like that, but this is the new 5. So there's your homework. So what that gets you is our priority outcomes. So what are our main outcomes we want to see when kids leave our organization? First of all, academic success. Our organization has our own 5-year strategic plan, and that is a number 1 outcome for our board. Is one of their top priorities is academic success. So we want all kids graduating from high school ready for the future, whatever that is. College, trade school, military career, whatever that is for them. Secondly, good character and citizenship. So having kids who are engaged in the community, service-minded, and then healthy lifestyles, of course. We want our kids to, excuse me, to know how to be healthy, to develop lifetime recreational sports or activities that they can do forever to keep them healthy, and to have that good basis of knowledge of how to keep themselves healthy. Okay, I don't even know I have my notes. Okay. So now to the good stuff. The district, what do you all do for us? Many, many, many things. So there's 2 primary programs that the regional health district funds. And the first one is Triple Play. So Triple Play is one of those examples of a nationally developed program by Boys and Girls Clubs of America. So it's developed by them, And we are able to use it because we're a Boys and Girls Club. It's proprietary to Boys and Girls Club, so only clubs can use it. You can see it was developed by, paid for by these big companies. And they do all the research and program development. These are our kids, the cute kids are ours, but the program is theirs. So it addresses three main areas. First is mind, so that's healthy habits. So learning about how to be healthy. Second is your body, so focusing on fitness, physical activities, learning how to be fit and what they enjoy doing to keep them active. And third is soul, so that's your social and emotional skills. The buzzword these days is social emotional learning, SEL, but this program has been around for a really long time, way before that was a buzzword. So it's always been about teaching kids how to be emotionally healthy, building those bonds with other people, learning conflict resolution, how to be a friend and make a friend, all of those kinds of things. So this is our Triple Play program that is funded by the health district. So what does that look like locally in our clubs every day? The next slide will tell you. So over 400 kids every day participate in Triple Play activities. So every site has at least one component of Triple Play happening every single day, sometimes more because there are a lot of activities. So here's some of the examples of the programs that happen every day at the clubs. So Healthy Habits, that's a literally nutrition education program. Smart Moves is a drug, alcohol, and tobacco prevention program. Also, it's really skill building and the younger kids learn about decision making. Gardening Club, self-explanatory. Nutrition to Grow On is a partnership we have with the Fallbrook Food Pantry, and Junior Chef, which kind of goes right along with that. Under Body, we have lots of different fitness clubs and activities. One thing our kids get to do when they come to the Boys and Girls Club is we let them help plan activities. So they come up with ideas of what do they want to do, what do they want to learn about. So when we say fitness clubs or hobby clubs, they'll come in and say, I want to learn how to fly a kite. Great. Our Potter Junior High has a kite club. They learn all about kites, how they work, how to fly a kite, how to make a kite. And that's based on what kids are interested in. And that's really the hook to get kids to want to come. So in your junior high, you could probably go home after school, but we would really prefer them to stay with us for many reasons. Under Body, large group games, great way to get kids out, active, having fun, sports skills and sports leagues. We offer basketball and soccer at a really low cost. We're the only ones doing basketball now. And I think we're the only recreational soccer league, right? There's the competitive but not recreational. They're very low cost and we have scholarships, so all kids can participate. Alevo is someone that in our partnership with the school district, they contract with and bring into us. They do a lot of really amazing sports activities and they love their running clubs, run those laps and earn those points and they love it. And Soul, so we have a program, Smart Girls and Wise Guys. They're gender specific small group life skills groups where kids can really talk about all the issues that are important to them. And have a really great positive role model to help them, discuss things that are important to them. Positive Actions, that's another one about making good choices, learning about really great decision-making skills. Hobby clubs, like I mentioned, and we also, through Palomar Family Counseling, we have a great partnership with them, and we do small group counseling. So we do small groups based on the needs of the kids. Sometimes it's a friendship group, sometimes it's kids that have some anxiety or they're nervous or whatever happens to be the needs of that club. We partner with Palomar to form those small groups that kids can participate in, as well as we do offer the one-on-one counseling as well through that partnership. So this is a little glimpse at what Triple Play looks like. And here's some pictures. You have to see the kids' adorable faces. And we do have a wide variety of kids. Like I said, over 2,000 kids that we serve a year. And our statistics show 75% of our kids are ethnic minority, with the highest group being Hispanic. And then 85% of our kids do come from lower economic families. But we see all kids. The Boys and Girls Club is for all kids. It's $30 a year to join. That membership is very easily waived. You ask and it's waived. We don't want any barrier to kids being able to participate in the program. Okay, so the next one, water safety. You love this one. If you haven't seen our pool, you should come over in the summer because it is jam-packed and a ton of fun. So the district also provides a water safety program for us, which is so, so important. It's one of my, I just feel like it's one of the most important things we do for our kids. Because statistics show that drowning is one of the leading cause of deaths in children. And the number one way, according to research, to prevent that is to teach kids to swim. And there are many unguarded bodies of water in this town, apartment pools, the creeks, streams, the ocean, and a lot of the kids do not know how to swim. A lot of our staff do not know how to swim. We are so surprised when we're trying to hire lifeguards and our staff are like, I don't have any clue how to swim. So this is a really important program to us. And with funds from the district, we're able to provide swim lessons to kids. So in the summer, we do swim lessons and we do open swim time. And in both of those time periods, we do water safety instruction with every child. Every child gets water safety. It's once during their 2-week swim lesson and it's once a week during open swim. And you can see here some of the pictures. We teach things that we teach them. When we go to the next slide and talk about that a little bit. So there's a lot of words there, but there are about 200 kids every summer that participate in this. We have about 75% of the kids who participate in one round of swim lessons, they pass and move on to the next level. So we are able to keep our groups really small, less than 5. Some kids end up getting like 2-on-1 or 1-on-1 with an instructor. We keep the groups really small. And most kids move on to the next level. They've developed that much skill. And all of them receive the water safety instruction, including, Lisa would tell me all the terms today, throw, don't go, which means if you see somebody drowning, throw them out the life-saving device, don't jump in after them. How to alert adults, call 911, personal water safety, like when to not go in. Also, we teach them about heat stroke, sunstroke, sunburn prevention, those things. And any child that we see at the club who's interested in swimming and doesn't have a swimsuit, we provide them with swimsuits. If we see that they need swim lessons or they're interested in it, we will scholarship them into the program. So any child that needs that service will get it, and that is because of funds that come from the healthcare district. It's really important to us to make sure that kids know how to swim and they get this water safety instruction, especially in our community. So next slide. So a little bit about the future in general. So here's a few things that we're working on for the future. It just makes me tired looking at the list, but also I love it. The first one is we're working on building a new teen center. So I'm sure that will be, you guys will hear more about that as it's coming. We just completed our feasibility study and we're moving on into, we'll be doing some focus groups. We're working with the county. We're hoping to build it somewhere within eyesight of our current building. So we'll see how that goes. We have some potential site expansions. We're hoping to add another site next year. To be continued, we'll let you know how that goes. We are increasing our training opportunities for our staff in the areas of mental health and suicide prevention, primarily through our partnership with the school district. They have new funding this year that's been really great to get even more training for our staff in these areas, because I'm sure you know how critical it is for kids right now to get services for mental health and also suicide prevention and intervention. We have had many cases this year in our elementary schools of children that we have had to provide services for because they have talked about committing suicide. So it is a vital service, and our staff are receiving additional training, and we are hoping to increase that as time goes on. We're also developing our music program. We're growing our music program, which is really exciting, and that is through our partnership with the Music Society here in town. And then also continuing focusing on building partnerships to increase the resources for our families. A lot of families come to us for their needs. They don't feel comfortable in other places in the community, not because people aren't reaching out to them, but just because they know our staff so well. Our staff sometimes have worked with the families for many, many years, had their kids from kindergarten through high school, and we see generations come through. And so they see us as a resource and our staff just know them so well. It just surprises me, even Lisa and people in our office. Oh, I knew that kid when they were 5 and his mom works here. And I mean, they just know these families. It's so impressive. So we do really see ourselves as a resource for families. And while we can't solve every problem, we try to be the place that can refer them or work our partnerships to help people in any need that they would have. So last slide, some more cute faces. So again, I would just want to thank you so much for all of your ongoing commitment to our Boys and Girls Club. This community has been nothing but welcoming and helpful to our organization and to all of our kids. And the district has been so generous over the years, and we definitely could not touch any of these goals without your support. So there's a couple of smiling faces. And when I was going through pictures, this is my little girl who's now almost 17. So this was her first Boys and Girls Club card. So I had to put her in there. But in other words, Boys and Girls Club is for all kids, including my own. So yeah, so if there's any questions, or I mean, I've yammered on for probably more than my time, but
Well, we appreciate you coming out.
yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board?
Okay. I talk so much. I love it.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move to consent items. Does anybody on the board have an item on the consent list that you'd like to pull or discuss? Can I have a motion? Motion to. Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? No?
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Maraz. Aye. Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Jeffrey. Aye. Director Stanica.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to reports, finance committee, it says that we have the report coming in April, yeah, do you have any comments, or would you like to add anything here, or just? reserve that?
So, we're gonna go ahead and just consolidate. We deferred this last meeting, we'll consolidate the two for the reporting to the board next time.
Sounds good. Facilities?
Yes, sir. Barbara and I are ready to report.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we met with Teresa and with Rachel, and I'd like to give you an update based upon the agreement at our last board meeting that we looked at our current facilities and come up with a game plan for upgrading those. So related to classrooms 1 and 4, the HVACs were installed on February 20th. Sinks and cabinets have been removed, and the additional work needed to be done in the wall spaces are underway. The storage lockers have been installed for very and different room users. The flooring samples have been delivered. Painting and flooring will potentially be completed end of March, early May. Local handyman is doing our painting, which honors our effort to support our local businesses. Relative to the education building, the windows retrofitted and new blinds, 22 windows. The estimate is $21,000 from a local vendor, North County Window and Door. And 3-day blinds will come in and help finish that project. Barbara and I agreed that this would be an important thing to do to save on energy and the aesthetics of the place. It's an elderly building. Exterior painting and gutters, including screens on top, so we don't have anybody getting on ladders and getting the leaves out of the way, seem to be in the mix. And we're gonna have to get special paint estimates because the exterior painting and gutters are metal based. So we're gonna pay attention to that. Do it right the first time, measure once, right?
Measure twice. cut
Measure
once.
twice, cut once, so we don't have to go back and then put in the others, yeah. So that's on the ticket. The House of Wellness, which of course is the previous parsonage. Carpet will be replaced with industrial flooring, so it's all-purpose flooring. Bedrooms are going to be updated in order to be potential office spaces or meeting spaces. The kitchen will get decked out with a new dishwasher, refrigerator, kitchen setup. dishware, cutlery, that kind of things. Replace the old carpeted areas with vinyl planking. The interior paint in that building and exterior house area will be painted. Again, the gutters getting to be installed, save us on wood rot and those kinds of things with filters on top. Bathroom will be made into an ADA compliant bathroom. And that's really important for us to take care of. If we're going to renovate, let's make that right and not have to retrofit. Draft up a backyard landscape plan to be ADA compliant, that garden in the back. Barbara and I agreed that we need to take advantage of our outdoor spaces for our visitors and clients. And we also pondered the notion of spreading out the ADA parking spots. That'll be something that will be taken under consideration when we look at parking as a whole. We do feel that the preparation for the parking lot and sidewalk would be a high priority, so that we get that squared away and not only aesthetically, but it's a little bit of an odd place there. I want to thank Roy for attending our meeting, and he made a great recommendation, and I know that it'll be taken care of, that we take before and after pictures so that when we can share with our community, they know where we were and where we came to, and that'll help them understand the grand scheme of things for the center. Barbara, did I cover the waterfront?
I think we just missed out that Mr. Holmes will be called upon for input with regard to the parking lot and paving as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, he'll help us draft up the scope and make sure that we get appropriate vendors, so that when we do the bid package, Jeff has worked with Rob and I as well have on this parking lot and our sidewalk project, so we know that'll be complete.
Right. And again, thank you, Mr. Musa, for your recommendations and your oversight. All of the little tricks that you give us about, you might want to consider for considering it. Thank you.
So that's what will start unfolding in various areas with finance forwarding recommendations for expenditures. It'll all go back into the mix, but these are the things that we have mapped out.
Okay. Do I have any questions or comments?
I signed a couple of checks for the HVAC this last week. Is that gonna be the long and the short of our expected expenditures for HVAC for the building? Okay, great, good job. And do we have a sense at this point of the parking lot possible expense?
We've got to do an RFP. That's a big.
Yeah.
Just to give you a sense of it, the parking lot behind the Fallbrook Arts Center and the library, to renovate that parking lot, it's $100,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. $100,000. So brace yourselves.
Yeah.
But it'll last for a long time, for generations, if we do it right.
Anything else?
That's it.
Mike?
Is the next step then is that list is gonna be kind of put into a,
Shepherded
Total dollar.
into the,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it'll start popping up in finance.
Right.
And then come back to when we get, for instance, the parking lot
Right.
RFP. So it'll all go back into the mix. This
Gotcha.
is the big picture that we wanted to come back and say, here are the things we see.
And then in our finance report number 10, the community investment reporting shows the cumulative growing amount that's been invested in that. So we can also push to that, and then I keep a general running total of things that we're putting towards that investment as well.
trying to calibrate that against phase one, phase two, bigger picture dollars that are thrown out there and kind of where this all fits together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and what goes away and stays.
Good. Well, all that sounds great. Obviously, you guys put a lot of thought into that, and I definitely think that that's a aggressive way of attacking it. I think that that's kind of where we're at. Jeff, do we need any sort of motion to?
No,
I think we're just gonna.
Yeah, we're just keeping it going. We got a consensus.
Okay. Do we expect to maybe get the RFPs out by the time they have another
No,
meeting?
no, we're still developing the scope. So Rob and I met earlier last week to walk the project. He and I are working on the site plan. Once that is essentially drafted into the scope, then we'll work with Jeff to build out that RFP, and then we'll send it out from there, so.
Alrighty. Well, sounds good. It sounds like a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about and some stuff that we can address, common sense sort of things that we can attack right now. So thank you. Strategic planning, we met on February 15th. We had a fairly short meeting, but we discussed a couple things. Let me bring up my notes here. So we talked about the mission statement. That was probably the biggest thing that we discussed. We kind of talked about the mission statement and possible revisions to that. That was kind of continued on to this next meeting that's next week. And we discussed the board's continual desire to collaborate with other groups, kind of seeing it today. It's great to see some of the groups, working together and working on impactful projects in our community. So that's definitely one of the subjects that we discussed. And well, that's about it. Like I said, we kind of talked about some of that stuff. We have our strategic plan for 2024 coming up. So we'll be working on that in the next meeting. And that was about it. Barbara, did I miss anything there?
No, we discussed more about the PACE program, the little presentation about the interest.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for the PACE program to come back with a proposal of what they would like to be able to offer us.
Mhm.
And then, of course, that point, we can start to negotiate if and when what leasing space to them would look like and what that would offer, but I'm waiting for them to come back with proposal.
Excellent. And that was about it.
Yeah.
It was a short one.
Yeah, I think that discussion was also part of our continual, searching out of potential providers in our facilities and looking for ways that we can impact the community. So that's probably it. Moving on to governmental and public engagement.
Yeah, we had a meeting on the 22nd. It was a timely meeting in that we've been getting lots of feedback from the public internally, a lot of historical perspectives that have been going on. We kind of came around, as I've been sitting on this, is that there's kind of three themes of where's the hospital, why did it go away? Why is urgent care not like it should be in Fallbrook? And what does the Fallbrook Regional Health District kind of do to incorporate and move all these things forward? So we're gonna have a meeting with this next week to kind of talk with the staff and get some historical perspective on the current marketing programs and the ways that we communicate to the community, but also try to put some structure around the strategy moving forward so that we don't have miscommunication or misunderstanding of the direction. So I'm excited to kind of get into that and see where we can push that forward and remove some of the off communication and focus on the positive communication and what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that's the next phase.
Great. So we also had the recommendation that for the communications.
Oh, yes. We also talked through the communication position, had some updates, some edits on this, but moving forward with somebody who can be tasked with funneling this information out effectively through the appropriate channels that the community uses to understand what's happening. So moving that forward to see where that's going to be moving.
Should we discuss this now or? Okay.
Yeah, it's agendized.
Okay, that'd be good. Okay, well, we can go ahead and discuss that item now. We'll go ahead and move it up and use it as a possible action item. Mike, do you want to go any further on that or?
No, I think it's a position that makes a lot of sense. We're kind of half timing a couple of positions that do the communication. This can centralize those communication channels and also give us some additional resources to determine what's the best way to capture what is going on and what needs to be going on and then communicating that effectively. So I think it's the right position, given all the things that have even cropped up in the last 2 months, that we can have somebody that can kind of take it and execute the strategies that need to be put in place.
Do we have any questions or comments, Jennifer?
I do. Thank you, Chair. Rachel, as I'm looking at this and the salary range and benefits, refresh my memory in our MOU with North County Fire, the Mary Murphy
So there's the three grants.
Yeah.
The ambulance, senior
Yes.
medical services officer, and then the public communications, social media specialist.
Right. Can you refresh my memory, the cost of the community, that, for the MOU, how much do we pay for that?
Our grant agreement is half of the salary share, which at this point, that half is about $30,000.
Okay, so, and my point being, this 24,000 going into 23-24, going into 23-24
Correct.
would be swapped out for that cost, because we're gonna be looking at terminating that agreement,
Correct,
that portion of the agreement.
correct,
Okay, and then this will slip right in there,
correct,
and it's a little, okay, I just want to make sure we had a switcheroo going on.
correct, yeah.
Thank
and
you.
Saying this is an offset, is that
Yeah,
what you're suggesting?
Switcheroo offset.
Technical terms.
Because we,
And then-
you know, we just heard why we're here, our partners, and so we want to be very careful with budgeting things that may decrease our ability to do our partnership. So I'm happy that we're going to be able to do that.
And North County Fire, I've already had a conversation with Chief McReynolds, and there is no challenge, no concerns with them on this. They would continue to keep that position under their own umbrella. So there's no issues.
Awesome.
It's Suze?
And so we'd be looking at the position as an hourly, as needed basis as opposed to a salary position.
They would not be salaried, they would be an hourly employee, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the discussion that we had in committee was basically just like Jennifer talked about. I think that the position that we've kind of shared with North County Fire, it's been a little tough to kind of shape messaging and kind of get them kind of on board with exactly what we're doing and having them, you know, kind of in sync with what we're doing. And I guess the thought would be to have somebody in-house and kind of shape a lot of that stuff and kind of get that going with us, so. Jennifer?
Bill, I just want to clarify something. Yes, it's an hourly employee, but it is to be from 9 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Right?
Yeah, it's outlined
Yeah,
as a.
it's a full-time position. Okay, with an hourly pay.
Correct,
Okay, I just want to make sure we knew it was.
an hourly non-exempt employee.
Right,
Yeah.
got it.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Well. I certainly understand that we need to have our message out there better than we have. We're probably talking about what, $50,000 a year? All the time?
Probably.
Yep, plus benefits. We get right down to it. Here's my concern. And it's not with the position, it truly is not. It is about, when you look at our expenditures, are we at risk of being questioned about how high our administrative costs are? When you go and make a contribution to a charitable organization, as an example, one of the first questions you probably ask, or you should be asking, is how much of my dollars are going towards what we're trying to address, as opposed to how much of that is going to administrative costs? Right?
Absolutely.
So if I'm giving money to the American Cancer Society and they come back and say, well, we're spending 25% of our money on administrative and 75% is going towards cancer research. That's a very high number, by the 25% administrative cost is outrageously high. When it should be 10, 15% at the most. You talk to anybody who was working with charitable organizations and doing public service, they're looking at the administrative costs. When I was going over our financials last summer, in preparation to doing my little adventure, which I'm thrilled about being able to do, I was really shocked by the amount of money we have in administrative costs compared to what our serving our mission is. And I'm concerned that we're adding to that, that's all. That's where I'm coming from. Like I said, I have no issue with the position, I truly do not, we need it. Do we need to be looking at other areas to offset that cost? And I think that's a discussion that we really need to have.
And another thing is perhaps that there might be an opportunity to take a look at the job description and see if it can't be parceled out to specific items that could be embraced by our existing staff to do those kinds of things. Or perhaps increase on our website information for that connection. Instead of having a warm body out there, you have all this information available. You know, that they can refer to, like an app. I mean, I would certainly support that as well. I understand it, and I think it's needed, it's necessary. It's just how we approach that is something that I agree with Terry with. I think it's gonna raise, you know, administrative cost eyebrows.
Sure.
That's my opinion on that.
Good.
I'd like to have further discussion on it before we take a vote to actually adopt this position to hire someone.
Okay, would you like to make another
We have a
motion?
motion on the.
You have a motion.
We have a motion on the table.
Okay.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
So part of now, putting this position together, and this could modify based on the discussions we have in terms of what's the most effective way to help us deepen our communication more effectively, which is what we're doing here. And preventing a lot of noise and cost that goes on to correct incomplete information or false information that we're dealing with potentially. That does have a cost and time here and on the staff. Marketing is something that's always a tough challenge from an ROI perspective. But I have found that if you don't have somebody committed to and focused on those activities consistently, it will fail. And you parse it out across multiple departments or people, it's very difficult to then form a strategy that somebody can own, implement, and execute because, and then you gotta have metrics behind that. And that's part of, I think, part of the discussion we want to have is not only what to communicate, but what are the metrics to ensure we're having success. If you don't have an owner on that, it's very tough to ensure that you're actually moving the bar. And then after a period of time, you're either successful in achieving the results, or you have to reevaluate the position or potentially absorb other activities into that. So that's kind of my perspective when I look at things like this, is that without focus, you won't have the best possible outcome. So, and I think we're going to look at that. I certainly want to get some more historical perspective on what's been done in the past and what's worked and has not worked, and kind of lay that against the current environment, which is we have a lot of different communication problems right now. Awareness, accuracy, and future path, where we're gonna go. So having that place to go, I think is what's pretty important. We can talk about the cost deltas. That's actually a pretty well benchmarked salary for this type of position, in my experience. However, there's other opportunities that maybe we can look at tweaking it or piloting, or there's other ways to do this. So I just put that out there as, if you think it's about enough important thing for us to be doing, we do have to invest a little bit to make it happen, right?
I moved a little quick on that. I don't know if we can open it back up, see if there's any public comments.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're prerogative.
If the public has any comments on this particular agenda item, I'll go ahead and open it up at this point if you have anything. Sir?
No, let Roy go.
I was just going to say that timing is everything. And at a time when it appears that the health district is under a magnifying glass, this could be perceived as an additional expense. I agree that it's something that's needed, but you've got to be cautious. And what I might suggest is that I think when we were sharing employees with the North County Fire District, I think that was a part-time position. And so that maybe this position should start off as part-time, meaning you don't have to do the benefits and all of that. And then as it proves itself to be valuable, let it grow into the full-time position that's described. But that might be an easier way to ease into it. That's it. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't plan on speaking this agenda, item, but I do have a couple thoughts. Partly because Danny was the split person that, you know, served both us and you as well. And I don't know what she's done for you specifically. I mean, I know she's done phenomenal work for us. And I think, you know, I agree with you though, the messaging gets a little muddy when you have one person trying to, you know, kind of split the baby there. And it's difficult, but I know that she's promoted our district very well. And in fact, one of the reasons I ran for the board was because, and Roy, you promoted this, we lost our Prop A in 2019. I felt that was somewhat because of messaging and lack of visibility. People just didn't understand exactly what North County Fire did. Sure, they see the shiny fire engines go by, but they really didn't have a fundamental understanding of what we did. So she's raised that social media profile to where we're everywhere, and she's done a phenomenal job. So my suggestion was when you have an hourly rate like that, I think Roy has a great idea about starting out part-time, and an hourly rate would work very well for part-time. If you were considering full-time, my suggestion would be have a salary as opposed to an hourly rate. You're looking for a creative person. You're looking for the kind of person that sometimes has thoughts at midnight when they're trying to sleep, like I do. I'm not creative. I'm just saying that I have thoughts at midnight when I'm trying to sleep. So my point is that, you know, that kind of work isn't exactly necessarily a 9-to-5 job. It might be something that they're working on at home. So my suggestion, if you do decide to go full-time, it would kind of make sense to make it a salary. That way you know what you're getting. And that person, if they're conscientious, very likely will extend themselves beyond those limited hours because they want to excel in their job.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, in my experience, whether you go full-time or part-time, it's really crucial to have somebody focused on the job that you want done. Parceling it out, there's a committee of, it's a project created by a committee and usually doesn't work very well. I'm just saying, if you haven't addressed this in the past, it's crucially needed.
Thank you.
Can I ask a process question? If we approve this job description, we're not approving the hiring yet, right? Or is it part and parcel?
It's part and parcel.
Okay, well. There's a motion on the floor.
Okay. Just for clarification, is the motion for a full-time position
It's as
as written here? Okay. Good. Go to vote then?
Director Leach,
No.
Director Morales.
No.
Director Brown,
No.
Director Jeffrey,
aye.
Director Stanislav.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I make a motion to modify the job description to a part-time employee and see if we can get that approved? Is that possible? Yeah. Okay. Second on that?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so the question I would have is, we have a part-time employee today, and how is it working? So I think that is the key issue here is, how do you want to move this forward to the next level of truly marketing this district? Now, there's two ways to do that. You have to change the objectives the person is currently working on, which I would argue needs some work there as well. And you have a part-time thing, so it's how do you parse it out and how do you work that?
Yeah.
Because we have that today.
Well, my motion
Not
would
really
be to
changing.
have the part-time position in-house. In-house and not a joint position that was shared. And, you know, I think that if we had somebody in-house, we could possibly, you know, accomplish maybe some of what we're trying to get here. But
The key word is summer, because I think that's the issue. So if we want to meter this thing a little more closely and just bring a part-time person from one place to another, which is really what we're talking about, then you're gonna have that level of bandwidth that we currently have today. We're not changing the bandwidth or the amount of work and staying part-time. So that's my only point, is if you want to grow this and accelerate and do new things, then we have to be, you know, just cognizant of that there's a limited time element there. That's my point.
And I wouldn't want us to be, oh, man,
absolutely.
having wrestled with these things mightily over the years as a superintendent. What happens with a part-time position is you hire a person who's looking for a part-time position. And that person may or may not, maybe we say we want to evolve this thing and now it's full-time. We put resources into this person, but they may not stay. Part-time people leave for better work. So we get interrupted testing of this idea. And I support the work that you all did on deciding this in your committee. And I think what we need to do when we do our budget cycle that's going to be coming up soon is that we are experiencing a certain amount of urgency on our communication patterns. So this may take precedence as we look at other things we're doing. We may have to adjust that in preference to this. And discipline our thinking on that. But to make this a part-time job during a high need time feels a little counterproductive to me.
Well, it's also a way of kind of describing the importance of the job.
Yes, exactly.
The strategic intent of the job, the importance to the district of the job. So a part-time person, part-time job has a different
Part-time.
level than a full-time commitment. So we just have to go in eyes wide open on that.
I mean, if we don't have a good feeling on a part-time, I would be good with pulling my motion and maybe tabling this or putting it on. Maybe we can try to find some room for it in the budget, in the budget process. I think that I know we've discussed the MOU with North County Fire possibly coming off. I've made comments previously about the other position also potentially not exactly serving our needs. I mean, I'm not sure what everybody's thoughts are on that, but I mean, I think that our budgeting definitely has to kind of look at some of these things and figure that out.
If I might just address that, this gentleman, and I didn't catch your.
Jeff Egan.
Okay, Jeff, and I appreciate the presentation on behalf of the fire district. If we're sharing that person who does work for your district and for us, and you just shared with us how effective that she has been advocating for the fire district. I guess my question is, if we're using the same person, why are we sitting here feeling that we are not being, our communication is not getting out there with this very same person? And I'm not criticizing her by any means. I'm just saying, what is wrong with that that's not working where they're doing well according to him and their communications and we are not?
I can add some information to that if it will help. So Danny has been tasked for our two districts to primarily focus on social media communications, which she has done a good job with us. And I didn't mean to indicate that she wasn't. However, that is the general extent of what she does for them. Keep in mind, the fire district has a full-time PIO, public information officer. So that ability to communicate that and having their social media provides them a little bit more success. Without us having a similar model, it's hard to make a full comparison. So Danny has done a good job supporting our social media component halfway. And then the rest of those pieces of this position are tasked out across the staff. So a lot of the impetus behind this is having a person who can be at community tabled events, having a person who can do overall more direct outreach than just the halftime social media component, which is where we're seeing a big disconnect in some of our messaging.
Okay. What do we know, if we know anything at all, with regard to Tri-City Healthcare, their district, Tri-City Healthcare District, and the Palomar District? Do they have someone who would be in that similar position? What I don't want to see on the front of the Village News is that the Fallbrook Regional Health District just hired a public relations person to advocate for what they do. And how come nobody else has to do that? Well, that would be awful, I would think. I mean, we're already catching a little bit of heat, and I'm not feeling that that's warranted, but do we have to hire somebody to make our case for us? That's what the message is going to come out to be, and that's what I don't want to have happen. I get you. We need to have somebody really out there advocating for us, making our our service known and our need known. That's the most important thing to justify, not just justify, but to make sure that the community knows that we're here, we serve a purpose, we're integral to the success of Fallbrook and our whole district. If that's what this person is going to do, great. But do we already have it within our wherewithal and within our resources to do that? As opposed to hiring a full-time person, and I guarantee you, someone's gonna call the PR person.
Yeah, for me, as far as some of that goes, like, I think that the bigger picture isn't really trying to sell the public on any particular thing or the wellness center. The public's gonna say whatever they're gonna say. Personally, I don't really care that much, I think that we're gonna try to do the right thing and, but, I think that a lot of the trouble that I've seen from being on the board is just the disconnect from the public and what we're doing. They don't know what we're doing, they don't, understand some of the programming, what the funds are used for. When we try to do events, we don't get a lot of people there. I would think that the big change, even if we did as a part-time role, would be maybe if we have somebody here 3 days a week to be able to do some of the tabling events that we do that can help with Rachel and do the social media and stuff. I mean, I think that at this day and age, I'm sure that all those healthcare districts have public relations people. This board in the past has spent thousands of dollars on consultants like Galvanize Strategies to formulate some of these things or to try to get out some of the messaging. I don't agree with it, but a position like this would probably be a lot cheaper in the long run. And we would have somebody in-house, I guess, that we can kind of work with our staff and kind of do what we need them to do. I mean, I think that Danny, I've only been in a couple meetings with her. She seems like a really bright girl. And I thought I was definitely impressed with the amount of knowledge that she had and her desire to kind of get more knowledge about marketing and social media and stuff. Seems like a great kid. I think that our main issue is getting somebody that's synced up with what we're doing and able to kind of engage with the public and get people out to our events. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, I don't know if we have any other discussion.
A quick comment. So we kind of throw PR, social media and marketing in the same bucket all the time. Social media is a channel of the marketing strategy to the public. So it is strictly a channel of communication. So before you do any of that, you have a strategy and a set of objectives for what you're trying to achieve. And right now I see that we have some areas of gaps that are not being communicated effectively, and social media is not going to solve that, which is what has been our primary focus. And it's a lot about likes and follows. That's great, but we're at a different level here. We have to start at the strategy. And then we can figure out what's the best channel to the public, whether it be social media, flyers, newspapers, table events. Those are all channels of discussion of your strategy and what you deliver. So I think part of what we want to do is really maybe do a quick stop and pause and say, what is our strategy and set of objectives for communicating what we do to the public? Now, one question I always ask is, who owns marketing in the organization today? Everybody. When everybody owns it, it doesn't do well. And it's back to the kind of the committee aspect of this thing. So that's always a kind of a first question is, who owns marketing? And if it's everybody, then we don't have a strategy. So that's kind of where we're going to be kind of walking through and understanding and having a discussion around, because that's where I want to kind of understand. And then from there, you can start delivering through the best appropriate channels. And it may be a part-time person. It could be spread across the staff to have certain elements of each channel they own. We can do that in multiple ways. And there's costs there too, because if they're doing that, they're not doing something else they're currently doing, which is an opportunity cost being lost. So I'm welcome to have slow down a little bit and have some more discussions. I'm welcome, have our meeting next week. We'll have a better set of understanding and historically, but I'm going to be an advocate for pushing for a focused way to communicate the strategies and marketing of this organization. And then get it executed however it best gets executed, but I think we have to start there. So no, that's my opinion.
Bill, I think I was was I the second on the motion, Raquel? Okay, I'm happy to, if you were considering withdrawing your motion, I would
I'll
agree to
withdraw my
that
motion.
so that we can have
Yeah.
more time to
Yeah.
incubate this idea.
Yeah, that sounds fine. I'll go ahead and withdraw and we can kind of move back. We kind of look at it on the financial side and kind of figure out what we're doing there. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's
So
fine.
do we need a vote on that or are we good to go? Okay.
You got consensus. Just if I might, Mr. Chairman, I do some work for Tri-City and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in this area. Palomar spends millions. All you gotta do is look at the commercials that come on. So, you know, it's a big issue with the local healthcare districts.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. How would it work then, using that same thought? If the Fallbrook Regional Health District, and I'm being sincere in my thought here. If we took out a TBN to a commercial for us, how would that be perceived? And would that really make a difference on what we're able to do, and what we should be doing?
I think it would.
Yeah, that's a one-time shot. Commercials take multiple hits over multiple periods of time. They have any impact whatsoever. Again, I think what we're struggling with a little bit here is our strategy and what needs to get done. And I think if we define that, what I always believe in, the work is defined by, you have the work to find, then you have the positions to find. So I'm willing to have that discussion and kind of work through that a little bit because I think I have a pretty good understanding of what the work is needed. And those three pillars I kind of talked about, and that's where we're gonna flesh out some more. So I'm happy to slow down a little bit on that. You know, there's all kinds of benchmarks, a percent of dollars toward marketing that organizations spend. We can get calibrated against that as well. So yeah, I think a commercial is another channel.
Yeah, and I was being more making the point than asking us to run an ad in
No, I understand.
On Spectrum.
on television.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
For the van running around town.
Exactly.
The channel that they have on the spectrum that talks about events that go in the community. I don't know what the protocol is for getting the ad on there, but it's strictly addressing community events within the local North County area. Might be something to look into initially just to see what we can find out.
Then maybe when we do budgeting this next time, we need to plug in a line item for, if you want to call it marketing or whatever, and that would be a bucket that we could pull a lot of this stuff through, including our person.
Yeah.
If we're all in agreement of how we want to, and I really hate using this term, market the health district. I mean,
And that's part of the reason the position is considered an outreach and communications coordinator. We're not really marketing, we don't have a widget that we're selling. But we do need to do a lot of community outreach and education, especially with so much new programming coming in. We have to not only outreach to the community, let them know that we have that, but educate the community about how this particular program can make a positive health impact on them. So that is part of why this is much more communications and outreach and not a PR marketing for a product.
And I think I would add an awareness element of that as well, because that's gonna be a continuously changing thing in programs that come up and new ones that, how do we ensure we've got the right feed to the community that there's great new programs popping up and have the door come down and come after it.
then really what we would be marketing, to carry that thread, is what these people do over here. Not necessarily what we support them, but it's what they do that helps the community. And oh, by the way, the Fallbrook Health District is the one who supports these particular.
That's kind of a third pillar.
And all of the programs at the wellness center will be that
And
too.
whatever they do.
And we haven't had a healthcare for 2 years, since COVID. Before we used to say healthcare a couple times a year. So the dynamics have changed. So there's no question we need to get some emphasis on this to get it out.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and send it back to committee and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay.
Rachel, your report?
Oh, me again. All right, just as a note, we're gonna stop talking about COVID. We are no longer, part of the California Department of Health and Human Services is no longer offering the PCR testing. So we ended that program. We still have a number of the rapid antigen testing kits available that will continue to receive that support from Health and Human Services. So I know Teresa and some of her team and Katya will now be making sure that we're bringing those test kits out to some of our growers, some of our lower income community areas that have less access to testing. So we'll make sure that that is still available to the community. Regarding health and the Health and Wellness Center, we went at length, obviously, with what's happening at the facility as far as that. There's going to continue to be a number of different things. We'll continue to push that through facilities, so I don't need to push that here. Regarding the partnership conversation, we are still working with Gary Mary West Pace on outlining what that proposal will look like. I had a very good introductory conversation with Palomar Family Counseling about putting together a proposal to bring more mental health counseling services out to the wellness center and what that could look like above and beyond what just the grant program has looked like. Grant season is upon us. Raquel and I have already done some grant site visits. We will wait to have the board do any other grant site visits until this grant evaluation period is over, so that there's no potential influence, if you will. The grants have all been submitted. Your books are being put together. I will finish my overall CEO summary that I put on those grants for you. So I'm hoping to have those books to you next week. Now that Terry is back, we were able to confirm the April 8th as the special meeting. That will be the grant evaluation meeting. So you'll all have your scoring sheets back to me earlier that week. We will tabulate the high, low, average scores. You'll all have that information for that April 8th meeting then. We will hold that meeting out at the Community Health and Wellness Center because chances are strong that we will have a good audience sitting in the room. So I want to make sure that everybody can have space, right? Administrative projects, your board portals seem to still be working pretty good. We're still adding information on there. So if there's background or historical information that you need, let Raquel or I know, and we'll make sure that's built up onto the portal. You'll also have all the grant applications will be up on the website, so that those will be available for viewing soon, as well as what you'll have in your book. An initial new review chart of accounts for the budget was put forward. We are finalizing that. So at the April board meeting, you will have, the April finance meeting, sorry, you'll have that new template for those chart of accounts. And remember, we're realigning that to fit with more of our regular observations and not with how the district used to run. The idea is just to update that. That's pretty much it, I think, on all of my various notes. That's it.
Any questions from the board? Roy, you have something?
Yeah, just Rachel, do the test kits have an expiration date?
Yes, so the new set that we just got, I think their expiration date is sometime in September or October. I think we worked through the ones that had January dates. We had a secondary set that came in that I think we're almost through, which were April, but the newest set that we just received are fall.
And is there a chance that a lot of them will get thrown away, or is there?
No, not likely. We've actually been distributing quite a few. I can usually order about 200 to 300 kits at a time from the state. And those usually have been going through before expiration dates.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm gonna confine my report to closed session tonight.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a couple of discussion, possible action items. G1 is it's just the follow-up to the special meeting. Rachel, do you have anything on this one?
Nothing in particular. Obviously, most of those items that came forward have been pushed either to facilities and then obviously to government public engagement. We're following up on those pieces, so I don't have anything new that came out of that.
I would just, just looking forward to continuing to see some of those things get done and, seeing them on some of those facility agendas and moving forward. Does anybody have any comments? No. Seeing none. G2, Community Health and Wellness Center project priorities.
I think we're in the facilities report. So.
Yeah, okay. And, last action item, we've obviously been seeing the applications for the LAFCO candidates. Looks like we have some, also nominations for, is it the CSDA board as well?
So in your packet, you had information for an open call for nominations for CSDA board. That call for nomination is if anyone on this board would like to make a nomination, either of someone here or someone else from CSDA to sit on that board. We don't have to take any action. That was just if any one of you were super motivated to sit on the CSDA board.
I know that.
Any takers?
Because he had nothing better to
That
do. right?
others.
I'll have to have.
Yeah, I tap that.
Okay, and SDRMA, that's the same.
Yeah,
ACHD.
Yeah, we had, SDRMA is also, looking for boards of directors. I know y'all don't know what the acronyms are. CSDA is the California Special District Association. SDRMA is Special District Risk Management Authority. Again, these are very unique to special districts. Again, if, the board has any interest in nominating one another to sit on the SDRMA board, that would be an opportunity.
Okay, seeing no takers. Yeah, I think that CSDA events are pretty awesome to go to sometimes, just because you gotta get to see all the different special districts, and you get to see the sanitary and mosquito districts, all sorts of good stuff.
Cemetery district.
Cemetery districts and community service districts.
I'm not gonna make any nominations for those. Would anybody like to make a nomination for the LAFCO spot?
Can we have a discussion first?
Sure.
Okay. I don't see either. Well, there are 3 individuals on the LAFCO list. And some of you may know those people or not. And the important thing for me, having worked hard on the high stakes issue of the detachment of the FPUD from San Diego Water Authority. This is going to be a high stakes moment in June. Nothing has galvanized that I know of after 35 years here in this community has galvanized both Fallbrook, Duluth, Rainbow, and Bondsville more. Having so many people in these huge community meetings, over 100 people there. This is essential to us. And we have proven, because we have our own source of water now, reliable water, through the Santa Margarita conjunctive project, which took 70 years to get done with Campanile. And the fact that Eastern Water in Riverside is willing to have a partnership with the 2 districts. We have a reliable water source. We have a reliable way to transport our water. So LAFCO is going to have a lot to say on this. And we need somebody on that board that knows us, who will fight for us. Because there are a lot of people on the LAFCO who are representing areas that are not happy with this. Well, we're not happy with having to pay for the Encina saltwater conversion plant that we got nothing for. We're not happy with irrigation systems that never came this far. We're not happy with that either. So I am asking that there be support or discussion at least of Ross Pike for this position, because he knows what he's talking about. He's been involved. He has shown that he can influence people's minds and hearts. And we're going to need that in June when the LAFCO board meets. So I wanted to put that on the table as something for us to consider tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
We had a gentleman that was at the last board meeting that talked, a candidate, and I don't know who he was.
That was,
Very.
Barry Willis.
Yeah.
You know, I asked her what as we were going out, what his position was with regard to the split. And he says, well, I haven't really made up my mind yet. And I go, you know, fella, if you haven't made up your mind, then we know where you are.
Well, guess what? Last night at an open meeting, a public meeting, he said, this may not even be legal. So we know where he stands and where he will block this effort. So may I make a motion?
Yeah, absolutely.
I move that we support Ross Pike for the position on the LAFCO board.
A second,
I would second that.
any discussion? Any here? You have something?
Yeah, I've had conversations with Ross in the last couple of days. I know him from some other interactions. I think he is a dynamic person. He does live here locally, which is a big push. I'm concerned longer term where this leads after this decision has been made. I'm concerned about kind of where his ultimate motivations are down the road. I think this is being driven highly by a very short term, but a very important aspect, but will be what, a 2-year commitment. And I'm just concerned about how that's going to play out longer term on the board and the dynamics of this particular board going forward. So he did reach out to me, which I appreciated. We have bumped into each other in the past, and but having somebody local, I think, is important for this particular issue. But I think that's a challenge that any one of these commissioners or these people should be taking under as part of their job. They don't represent where they live. But I didn't hear that either from Barry. I didn't get a real sense for that, but then I talked to Ross specifically about some actions, and his kind of this next focus is just getting reelected in 2 years. I hope it's more to that, because I've seen some things happen which could be determined a little bit disruptive, but maybe that's needed. So I'm on the fence. The big pull for me is local, which we don't have. A guy sitting down on Alpine,
Right.
very, very far away.
Right.
Well, my time must be up. So that's my discussion point. I'd like to hear other viewpoints, because I don't have a lot of history either.
If I may, Rachel, can you contribute anything to this discussion based on your conversation with, Mr. Abbott? Would you have anything?
Nothing that's relevant. Yeah, what I spoke with, Steve Abbott about, really isn't related to this component of LAFCO.
Okay.
I'll open it up. Do we have any public comments, Roy?
I serve with Ross Pike on the planning group. And the biggest concern we have on the planning group right now is that we don't have local representation in Fallbrook. Decisions are being made in San Diego, decisions are being made in Sacramento that are affecting our livelihood, our character, as far as the town. From anything from being able to split a 1 acre lot into 4 houses to vehicle miles traveled, all kinds of things. It's the urbanization that we're going through, and people like us who live in non-urban areas have no representation at all. Ross and I disagree on a lot of things, but I think the one thing we do agree upon is what's best for Fallbrook. And Ross living in Fallbrook, I think is a huge benefit to this community, particularly when this water issue comes up, because we already know the other 2 candidates are going to be against it, because it will raise their water rates where they happen to live, and it will not benefit them. I think that Ross representing us on that particular case alone warrants, his support. Now, I agree with you. What happens after that, if he decides to go on to bigger and better things, so be it, as long as we get past that particular point. So I would agree with Jennifer and everyone else that I think we should support him.
Sir?
I hate to follow Roy, that's never a good job, but I think I forgot to say in my comments that one thing about Ross is that I think that's very important is that he he's really focused on local control. And the detachment is a great example of that. My example of Valley Center Fire is also an example. If they lose their fire department and it's serviced by CAL FIRE, they lose their local control. The fire districts that's happening, well, more in Orange County than San Diego County, but it is happening in San Diego County. I know it's probably maybe a concern of yours in this district down the road somewhere. It can, these things can happen. So more than anything, local and this is a representation. I mean, we don't live in a city, we don't have a mayor, we don't have a city council. As special district representatives, we are the local government. So we want to keep that local control. We may not live in a city, but we all feel just as strongly about Fallbrook as anybody who lives in an incorporated city. I know that for a fact. So I know I've had this conversation with Ross. It's incredibly important to him. It's a 4-year position. He'll be there. I've never known of LAFCO as being a springboard to greater, to Congress or anything else. No one knows what LAFCO is, trust me. Except for us, the political nerds that we are. But anyway, that's my point. And I think he'd make a phenomenal LAFCO representative.
Anything else? I'll go ahead and close public comments. So yeah, I work for a water agency, so I definitely understand, like, everybody complains about higher water rates and everybody would love to have cheaper water, so it's definitely a big issue right now. So yeah, I appreciate everybody's thoughts, and I'll go ahead and put it to a vote.
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Morales,
Aye.
Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
Aye.
Director Stanislav.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have this item H, so the public's been very kind and made a lot of comments so far. If we have any other public comments at this point, you can go ahead and make them before we wrap it up.
I've got a closed session.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close those public comments. Board member comments or anything for subsequent meetings at this time? No, anything from staff? Good.
No, just do want to let you know that we have scheduled the first 2 public community forums for May 4th and May 6th. That will come out more. And then I failed to let everyone know from my board report, because I got the notice today, we got our final draft from the auditor today. So again, nothing to note on the audit. It's good, it's clean, it's fine, it's just very tardy. But that did finally come in today, so we should have that final draft shortly.
And the management letter will come to
And the
finance.
management letter and everything. Yeah.
Alrighty, we have a couple upcoming events that are here on the agenda here. Or we'd love to have you guys coming to all of our committee events and everything else. So thanks for attending. We're gonna have to move into a closed session and we're gonna discuss some
Darn. We can't.
Yeah.